Welcome back to another episode of Vedanta study. We are looking at TattvaBodha. TattvaBodha is one of the Prakarana granthas, is one of the texts, introductory texts in Vedanta. This text gives introduction to some of the terms that are used in Vedanta, their definitions, their meanings, their purpose, and so on. So it's a short text and it gives us a good idea. It is not the perfect one, but it gives us a very good idea of what are the terms that are used in Vedanta, in Vedantic framework of understanding. See, in this channel, for those who are new to this, we talk about two major things. One is health and wellness, the physical body, the mental body. The second is the existential questions that demand an answer, such as who am I? What is the purpose of life? What was there before I was born? Where was I before I was born? What happens to me after I die or after the body passes? When I say the body passes, where does it pass from? From this to where? All these questions are inquired or investigated under a framework called Vedanta. Vedanta, again, it has multiple subdivisions such as Advaita Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, Dvaita Vedanta, and so on. The word Vedanta, as many of you may know, is derived from Veda and Anta. Veda plus Anta, the end of Veda, doesn't mean the actual end of Veda, it means the essence of Vedas. So Vedas talk about the karma kanda, Vedas talk about the karma and the rituals and the practices, and the end of it, the essence of the Vedas is given the spiritual inquiry, the spiritual for people who have the spiritual quest, who wants to know all these answers to all these existential questions. So that is Vedanta. With that background in mind, let's move on with what we have studied so far in TattvaBodha. We have seen Mangalacharanam. Mangalacharanam for TattvaBodha, usually every grantha has a Mangalacharanam, invocation, before we actually go into the TattvaBodha. Vasudevendra yogindram natva gnanapradam gurum mumukshunam hitarthaya TattvaBodha abhidiyate. Again, Vasudevendra yogindram natva gnanapradam gurum mumukshunam hitarthaya TattvaBodha abhidiyate. TattvaBodha abhidiyate mumukshunam. Kimartham hitarthaya. Vasudeve natva gnanapradam gurum vasudevendra yogendram. So we have seen what this means in the last session, and we have also seen the first chapter, first sloka or first verse, adhikari. What are the qualifications of a seeker for this TattvaBodha? TattvaBodha means, Tattva means the essence of what? The essence of this entire existence. What is the foundation? What is that on which the entire existence is dependent upon? So TattvaBodha explains more about that. So the study of that or the explanation of that is TattvaBodha. So number one is adhikari. What are the qualifications of a seeker or a student who wants to find out more about this? See, in Upanishads, one of the Upanishads, the teacher goes to the guru and asks this question, Kasminnu bhagavo vignate sarvamidam vignatam bhavatiti. By knowing what, I understand everything, understand the meaning of life, the purpose of existence, and every such question. By knowing what? All questions. There is no more questions. See, you can have questions about your health and wellness, and you can have questions about the mundane life, the transactional life. Here in Vedanta, they talk about three realities. One is the transactional reality, the reality that helps us function in our lives. You go to work, so you need to keep track of your time. You have to be there by 8 a.m., so you have to keep track of time. You have to get from point A to point B, so you need a vehicle to get there. You need an automobile, you need a car or a bicycle or what have you, or a bus. So you go from point A to point B. You need shelter, you need food, you need a place to sleep, you need social support, you need family support, friends. All this is the transactional world. That is Vyavaharika Satyam. This is called Vyavaharika Satyam, transactional reality. And then the second type of reality is Pratibhasika Satyam. Pratibhasika Satyam means it is also appears, it is real, but it is only momentary. For instance, momentary does not mean only one moment, it means a period of time. For example, dream appears real for only a period of time, but once you wake up, the dream is gone. That is Pratibhasika. So it shines for a short moment. That is the actual meaning of Pratibhasika Satyam. It shines within your consciousness for a period of time and it disappears. That is Pratibhasika Satyam. And then the third type of reality that Vedanta talks about is Paramardhika Satyam. Paramardhika Satyam means what is beyond the Pratibhasika and beyond the transactional reality, that is called Paramardhika Satyam, the ultimate reality. What is that? So, once you touch that fountain of ultimate reality, then you understand everything, the meaning and purpose of life. So the teacher goes to the student, the student goes to the teacher and asks the question, Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate Sarvamidam Vignatam Bhavatiti, which means, tell me that by knowing which I know everything. Here the student is not asking about, tell me how to repair a laptop or how to repair or how to operate my iPhone. No, he is asking about that Paramardhika Satyam, by knowing which all bhavabandhas, all the bondages gets broken, you are liberated. So that is the Paramardhika Satyam. The same thing Arjuna asks Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. Who is that person? Who is a sthita prajna? Who has sthita prajna? Prajna means prakruštena, prakrušta gnanam is prajna. Who is that person who is stabilized in that gnanam? Tell me about that person. Tell me about that individual. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. What is that state in which that sthita prajna is strongly rooted? Samadhihi, that samadhi. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadhihi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. So how does that person perform? How does that person walk? How does that person function? What are his qualifications? What are his personality traits? Tell me more about that person. So similar things occur at in different forms and different questions from time to time in Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra. So this is what the Paramardhika Satyam is. So TattvaBodha talks about the Paramardhika Satyam. So for that we have seen Anubandha Chatushtayam in the last class. If you have not listened to the last session, which is the introductory session of TattvaBodha, I request you to do that, because in that we talked about Anubandha Chatushtayam. Anubandha Chatushtayam is Adhikari, Vishayaha, Prayojanaha, Prayojanam, Sambandhaha. Who is an Adhikari? What are the qualifications of a seeker or a student for this study, for this inquiry? Adhikari, Vishayaha, what is the subject matter? What is the subject matter of this inquiry, of this investigation? Adhikari, Vishayaha, Prayojanam, what is the benefit of doing this inquiry? Vishayaha, Prayojanam, Sambandhaha. Sambandhaha means the relationship between the aim, the subject matter, and the text, that is the Sambandhaha. So, this Anubandha Chatushtayam is required for every serious study, every important, every significant study in Indian knowledge systems. So, we have seen that in the last class, and now TattvaBodha opens up the discussion with what are the qualifications of a seeker. Who would be the right person to engage in a spiritual inquiry? You see, we should remember the difference between religion and spiritual inquiry. Religion starts with a God out there, up in the sky, in the heavens. That is religion. Spirituality, on the other hand, starts with you, start with the self, and by understanding yourself and by understanding the relationship between the self and the existence, the nature, what you see outside, and seeing what is truth and what is untruth in this, you understand the ultimate reality or the Paramarthika Satyam. So, here spirituality does not give a name and a form to that ultimate reality, but for our sake, for the sake of the seeker, names and forms have risen, and all the names and forms are for the benefit of the seeker. So, this is actually told in the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras and the Gita and Vedanta itself, that for the benefit of the seeker, you get the names, you have the names and forms. So, going back to the Adhikari. So, Adhikari. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampannadhikarinam Moksha Sadhana Bhutam Tattva Viveka Prakaram Vakshamaha. So, the first verse starts off with, we will explain for those who are endowed with the fourfold qualifications, Sadhana Chatushtaya, the means of liberation, or Moksha Sadhana Bhutam. Moksha Sadhana Bhutam, the means of moksha. Right? So, Sadhana Chatushtayam Kim. So, now let us start with Sadhana Chatushtayam Kim. What are these four qualifications of the Adhikari? The author of the TattvaBodha takes up each term and defines it, explains it nicely. You see, the author only explains it, he does not give suggestions on how to become an Adhikari, how to become a qualified seeker. He only describes what does the terms mean. He does not give the means to get there, the means to attain, the means to become. That is up to us. That is given in some other text, but not in this one. So, Sadhana Chatushtayam Kim. What are these four qualifications? So, he goes on. Number one, Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha nitya anitya vastu vivekah. Iha amutrardha phala bhoga viragah. Iha amutrardha phala bhoga viragah. Samadhi shatka sampattihi. Shamadhi shatka sampattihi. Mumukshutvam cheti. Mumukshutvam cha iti. Cha in Sanskrit means and. Iti means like this. Mumukshutvam cha iti. So, nityanitya vastu vivekah. The capacity to discern between what is nitya and what is anitya, what is real and what is unreal, what is permanent, what is impermanent, that capacity, that capability to discriminate these two, that quality of the seeker, of the person, is called nityanitya vastu vivekah. That is number one qualification. Second qualification, ihamutrardha phala bhoga viragah. Oh, so actually let us keep going with let us keep track with what the TattvaBodha author is saying. So he lists these four and then goes on with describing each of them. Nityanitya vastu vivekah kaha. We have seen that the discrimination between, the capacity to discriminate between what is permanent or what is real or what is eternal and that which is ephemeral, that which is impermanent, that which comes and goes. That is nityanitya vastu vivekah. So, nityanitya vastu vivekah kaha. So, what is that which is nitya? That what is that which is permanent? Nitya vastvekam brahma tad vyatiriktam sarvam anityam. Nitya vastu ekam brahma. Nitya vastvekam brahma. There is a sandhi there. There is a combination between two words. Nitya vastu ekam. Nitya vastvekam brahma tad vyatiriktam sarvam anityam. Sarvam anityam. Sarvam anityam. Ayameva. Ayameva nityanitya vastu vivekah. Brahman or ultimate reality is the only nitya vastu. Nitya vastu, the permanent factor or the ultimate reality. Everything else is anitya, everything else comes and goes, it is ephemeral. So, here we have to remember when they say nitya vastu, anitya vastu, vastu means a thing or an object. Nitya vastu, anitya vastu, when they say nitya vastu, they don't mean the actual Brahman or the ultimate reality or the ultimate universal consciousness that is a vastu, that is an object. They don't mean that it is an object. In this context, they use the term nitya vastu, but it is not an object. What happens is when we make Brahman an object, we create a goal, we create an object out there and a path to reach there, when in fact that nitya vastu is actually the one that is within us and everywhere around us. It has no she, he, there is no gender to that. That which is universal consciousness has no gender. So, nitya vastu should not be confused as a vastu, as an object. It is in fact, there is no qualifiers to it, but because human mind wants to define everything, we create qualifiers to it, to that which that does not have a qualifier, we create qualifiers to it. So, in that context, here Brahman alone is the Nitya Vastu, everything else is impermanent. This capacity to discriminate between Nitya and Anitya, see, there is another way of describing Nitya and Anitya, Gnanam and Agnanam, Gnana and Agnana. Gnana is the Nitya, the permanent universal consciousness. Anitya is everything else. So, to get to the Gnana, you don't really define Gnana, you don't really experience Gnana, you just experience the Agnana. You experience all that is ephemeral, you see everything that comes and goes very clearly. Hasta malaka iva, like a fruit in the hand of your in your palm, you see all that is ephemeral as clearly as you see the amalaka in your palm or the fruit in your palm. You know, there is no doubt about it, there is no confusion about it. So, a person who is able to very clearly discern between what is truth and what is untruth, that quality is called Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha. Okay, that is what Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha Kaha. Kaha in Sanskrit means what? Okay, this moving on. Viragaha Kaha. See, we are seeing Sadhana Chatushtayam. So, first one is Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha. Second is Iha Mutrarda Phala Bhoga Viragaha. So, the author is asking, what is Viragaha? Viragaha means, what is Viragaha? What is dispassion? Viragaha. Raga means desire. Viragaha means lack of desire, means dispassion towards things. It does not mean inertia, it does not mean laziness. It means that you do not have attachment to the momentary things, the things that come and go. You are not attached to it. You don't get bound to it. That is viragaha. Okay. So, moving on, viragaha kaha. He provides the answer, the author of TattvaBodha gives the answer. Iha swarga bhogeshu icharahityam. Iha swarga bhogeshu icharahityam. Okay, so iha swarga bhogeshu, that is a compound word, that is a samasa. Icharahityam. So, icharahityam means the absence of desire. For what? Absence of desire for what? Iha swarga bhogeshu, in this world, or swarga in another world. Iha swarga bhogeshu, the enjoyment of the fruits of one's action, the enjoyment or the desire to enjoy the fruits of action in this world or in another world. You see, this is, we will know more about it as we go along, about what this actually means in this world or in another world. So, the framework in Indian Shastras is that you have this life that you lead, and based on the accumulated karma, accumulated results of your action, you either go to another world, Swarga or Naraka, and then the cycle continues, Swarga, Naraka, and come back to this world. This cycle continues. That is the framework in which the Indian knowledge system has the framework that Indian knowledge system has created. So, a person who is an adhikari has no interest in any of this, has lost interest, or is dispassionate, is viraga, is dispassionate about either the fruits of action in this world or in any other world. Next, number 3. So, that is number 2 of the adhika sadhana chatushtayam. Number 3 is shamadhi shatka sampattihi ka. Shamadhi shatka sampattihi ka. What are the shamadhi, shama and etc. Shama etc. Shama dhamadhi, shamadhi sadhana sampattihi ka. What is the sadhana sampatti? Shama, starting with shama. So he starts with describing what is this? What is the shamadhi? Shamo, shamaha, damaha, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam cha iti. Again here sadhana sampatti has 4 aspects. It's divided into 4 parts. Number 1 shama, number 2 dama, number 3 uparama, number 4 titiksha, number not 4, I am sorry, 6. Number 6. So shama, shamaha, damaha, uparamaha, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam, mumukshutvam. These are 4. These are 6. So shamodama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam cheti. Shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam. Shamaha kaha. Here he goes on to describe shamaha kaha. So we shall stop here and resume what are these 6 qualities or 6 accomplishments of the sadhana of the seeker in the next class. But let us recap what we have listened or studied so far. We started the TattvaBodha with the Mangalacharanam, and we looked at Anubandha Chatushtayam. Anubandha Chatushtayam, in that the first one is adhikari. What are the qualifications of a seeker? In that we have seen the adhikari, sadhana chatushtayam. Sadhana chatushtayam is nityanitya vastu vivekaha, ihamutrartha phala bhoga viragaha, shamadhi shatka sampattihi. Shama adi means shama etc. Shatka sampattihi, 6 sampatti. Sampatti means accomplishments. Shatka, 6-fold sampattihi. So what are those? And the next point is mumukshutvam. Okay, mumukshutvam. So we are stopping at shamadhi shatka sampattihi ka. And then the next topic talks about shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam, etc. Right? So TattvaBodha, you can actually find the TattvaBodha. You Google TattvaBodha PDF on, you search in Google and you will find free downloads, free PDF, and you can follow along with me this grantha. So let us meet next time and continue our discussion in TattvaBodha. Thank you.